Your clothes don't stop fitting because you did something wrong. They stop fitting because our bodies are constantly changing. I'm Refashionista Sheri, and I show you how to use what you have to make what you want so you don't have to constantly be going out and buying something new just because your body changed a little bit. And today I'm going to share with you one very easy method so you can make those tight clothes fit again. And I'm going to show you how to use this exact same method in 4 different garments just to prove how totally simple it is. If your clothes are too tight, do this. For this quick and easy, comfy project, all you need is your sweatshirt or hoodie or top or whatever the heck it is that you're going to upsize, and some fabric to use to upsize it. I am using this very cool quilted patchwork pillow sham because I think it's going to look awesome as my upsizing panels. So first, flip your top inside out and make sure that the fabric you've chosen is long enough to cover the entire area where you're planning on inserting the upsizing panels. For me, I'm going to put them on the side, and this is more than enough fabric. Because mine is a pillow sham, one of those, decorative pillowcase covers, I already went ahead and chopped off the back fabric here where you would insert the pillow. If yours is regular fabric, clearly you don't have to do that. But luckily, mine here has these wonderful even patchwork squares. So I am just going to cut it to the size of these patchwork squares, and then I will have 2 even pieces for upsizing. If you want to measure out the absolute 100% to the millimeter size of your insert panels, go right ahead. I'm more of an eyeball it kind of refashionista, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so because my side panels are all ready, I guess I better get the sweatshirt ready. Now, I'm not a fan of these cuffs here or this part on the bottom, so I'm going to remove them. And as with everything I chop off and don't use immediately, these will go in my stash for a future project. Okay, now we're just going to cut out these thick side seams all the way from the cuff all the way through to the bottom of the sweatshirt. You should now have all of your sides totally open, and you know what? If you want to leave it like that and just wear it like it's a big poncho, by all means go ahead. Or you could actually take off the sleeves as well and then just kind of stitch to about here and leave this part open, and then you'd have a poncho as well. So there you go, extra little bonus idea if you want to use it. Okay, so now we're going to grab one of our side panels, and you just want to line up the cut bottom edge here of your shirt or hoodie or whatever with the end of one of your side panels, and go all the way like so down to the hem of your, what's this, sleeve. There you go. And then go stitch that together. Repeat on the other side. Then you want to do the whole thing on the other side of your shirt. So here is what the first side looks like. How cool does that look? And now all I have to do is fold this back over, grab the other side of that sleeve, and then do the whole thing with the other chopped edge here, just lining it up and stitching straight down. This looks so awesome, and it is definitely upsized, but the cuffs don't look great, do they? And neither does the bottom hem. Luckily, I still have those pieces left, those side pieces from the pillow sham. So I'm going to use this for my bottom hem, and I think I have enough left to go around the sleeve cuffs too. The bottom looks absolutely fantastic now. But I did not, in fact, have enough of this left over to do the sleeves, so I just grabbed the former bottom hem waistband out of my stash and I created some bigger sleeve cuffs for my wonderful big blanket type hoodies. For this oh-so-quick and terribly simple project, all you need is your blouse or top that needs upsizing, and of course, some kind of fabric or lace or trim to use to upsize it. All right, so I have my top totally unbuttoned and pretty much inside out, and now I'm simply going to chop out these side seams from the bottom hem all the way through the sleeve cuff here. So the sides are going to be totally open. All right, so both sides are totally chopped open. Now I'm simply going to grab my lace and pop it on the bottom here of one of the sleeve cuffs and then just stitch it all the way down to the bottom hem, and then repeat that with this side on this side of the blouse, and then repeat the whole thing on the other side. Here is a quick Refashionista tip. Now, if you're not paying attention, it is very easy to stitch this to the wrong side. So always make sure that you are stitching your upsizing side panels to the correct areas. I do this so many times where I stitch it here and then for some reason my brain, stops working, and then I stitch the other side to the opposite sleeve, and that is not okay because you gotta unpick it. This absolutely, I think, has to go around the bottom hem and, of course, the sleeve cuffs as well, because how adorable that is going to look. So cute. Alrighty, so I have the side panels done, and as you saw, it now fits me perfectly with plenty of room, and the adorable sleeve cuffs are done, and the bottom hem. For this delightful denim upsizing project, all you need are your 2 small jeans, plus a pair of jeans that you don't mind cutting up to create the inserts for your 2 small jeans. I have a vision in my head of adding some kind of double pocket situation. So let's just get started. And so as you can see here, the first thing I have done is I turned my 2 small jeans inside out, and I'm simply going to chop out the thick side seam that is on the outer side of the jeans. Okay, so you can see here it is completely chopped through all the way from the bottom hem all the way up to the top. Of course, I did leave the inseam as it was because we're just adding panels to the sides here. So now let's go see how we're going to do that. Okay, so a really simple way to figure out the basic size of side panel inserts that you'll need is to simply grab a pair of trousers or jeans from your closet that have the same basic shape as the ones you're upsizing, put the 2 small ones on top of it, and then you can eyeball it or use a proper measure to measure the size of insert you will need, and then add a couple of centimeters for seam allowance and chop them out and stitch them on. I'm going to try a slightly different method today though, because I really want to get an idea of what it would look like to try to keep some pockets. Like I said, add those extra pockets in there. So let's go test my theory here. Okay, so this is super hilarious. You can see here that I kind of just tied the jeans around my body because they have no sides, so they're clearly not going to stay up, right? So, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is see if I can kind of measure here from the back to the start here. And that's like 17 centimeters. That's a lot of side panel. Okay, but it's okay. It's okay. So I think, yeah, let's go 17, 18 centimeters is what I'm going to need to fill the sides here. So on a side note, you can see these were like my favorite jeans for a long time. They were mended and mended and mended and mended and mended and mended, and they don't fit me anymore. So there's no use mending them. Now I'm going to use them to upsize something. So I think the easiest way to do this is I'm just gonna chop straight down from the top, cutting out a generous amount around the pocket area here, all the way down through to the bottom hem. So basically all I did was chop out the back of the legs from the waistband all the way through to the bottom hem. And as you can see, they definitely need to be measured and cut properly. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, now it's time to add our side panels, but first I want to kind of just make sure that the pockets are where they're supposed to be, because when I cut out the side seams, I cut the pockets as well. So I think that looks about right. I'm just gonna pin that in place until I get my side panels, and then all those pins will hold it properly, I hope. And now I have grabbed a side panel here, and let's just make sure it's going to be okay. Yes, it is, because it does have a little bit of a curve back here, because the back pockets were, of course, on the bottom side. So I want the curved side to be on the same side as the back pockets of my two small jeans, and I really hope that makes sense. But very first thing we're going to do here is line up the waistbands and those chopped side seams of both of these, and then I'm going to pin it and then go stitch it all together, and then we'll come back and figure out how we're going to do the other side. It worked, and it looks great. I mean, not super great on the inside, but I don't care. It's on the inside, right? Who cares? But on the outside, I think, look, I managed to get that matched up pretty good, but I did have to kind of loosen and half remove the belt loop here, so I'm going to hand stitch that on later. But other than that, that looks fantastic. And so now I'm going to fold this here to the back side that has been chopped, and then go stitch that all the way down and repeat the whole process on the other side of the jeans with the other insert. Okay, these are done and they look fantastic. And I actually, I have to go stitch this one back on, as I said, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of hand stitching here just on the inside of the waistband just to hold down these thicker seams. But other than that, these look so cool. For this awesome maxi dress upsizing project, all you need is your too tight maxi dress and, of course, your sewing gear. So before we get started, we must do some vintage tag appreciation here, because that's absolutely beautiful. And as I always say, I wish they would still make tags like this with all the pretty embroidery, and this is gold thread, and I think it says "we Maikai," and I'm very, very sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, but this was actually made in Hawaii, and I love it so much. And going from what the tag looks like, it appears to be sometime in the 70s that this was made, just going from the information that it does have and the actual style of the tag. But again, it's just beautiful, isn't it? So first I need to figure out how long I want my dress to be, and to do that you can either put it on and just mark it with a pin and, eyeball it and guesstimate, or you can do what I'm going to do, and I've grabbed a dress that has my ideal length, and I'm just going to line up the shoulder seams like so. And look, this is another vintage beauty here. It's absolutely gorgeous. But then all I have to do is, mark it just a little bit below the hemline here with a pin to give myself some extra seam allowance. And then I will have my ideal dress length. Okay, so now the length is great, or it will be great once it's all nicely hemmed. But we can't do that until we upsize this. And you see, it really needs to be upsized back here. Now, if I can kind of, You know me. I just eyeball things. I don't really measure. And I mean, yeah, I think about, say, 30-ish centimeters should be enough. So if we do 30 centimeters, divide by 2 and add 2 side panels around 15-ish centimeters each, that should be enough for seam allowance. And then everything should be able to be closed and fit nicely here. And then we can finally hem the bottom. Okay, so I have my chopped dress and I have my chopped bottom here, and I'm just going to line these two up at the underarm seam here of my dress just to make sure I have enough length, and I have more than enough length, so that is fantastic. Now I can go chop this to size. So now I have my chopped bottom, which of course is still in a tube skirt shape, so it's still 2 layers here. And now I'm just going to measure, and I actually don't think I need 15 centimeters, so let's do 13. Just a couple centimeters less there. And now I can chop on through here, and that will create my 2 upsizing side panels. So now I have my 2 pretty equal side panels. I need to go open up the sides of the dress so I can insert them. Okay, so looking at the interior side seams of this dress, it appears like I can very easily just use my seam ripper and open up the side seams. But I'm not sure about the top, so we'll see when we get there if it's going to just be super simple to get through this bulkier fabric or not. Okay, so I have both of my side seams open all the way from the underarm seam down to the bottom hem, and it actually was super duper easy, I think, because this is so very, very vintage. The seam ripper just went through all the stitches like a hot knife through butter. So now it's time to add my upsizing side panels, and as always, you want to make sure you have the right sides facing, and just pop them together like so. And these raw fraying edges here, I'm just really going to try to stitch as far away from them as possible. And I think I'm just going to follow the original stitch line here, because then everything should be folded over nicely once it's done. But yeah, now I'm just going to go stitch all of this together and then repeat the whole process on the other side of the dress. How gorgeous does that look? That is like perfect. That is absolute perfection. And I think it's okay if the pattern doesn't match up perfectly. I don't mind. I think that looks absolutely wonderful. And I did try it on and it absolutely fits me. Now, I am thinking I want to use the rest of this chopped bottom to see if I can create some little sleeves here. Just some little swingy bell-shaped sleeves. So let's do that. So I'm just going to create some really, really simple sleeves here. And first I'm going to measure the armhole and say that's like 26 centimeters. Now I actually have quite a bit of the chopped bottom left, so I have folded it in half, and that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers here. And now I'm just gonna take my measure, and I know I usually eyeball, but this time I want to be a bit more precise than that. So lay it on here, and I said it was 26 centimeters, so you know what, let's add another centimeter for seam allowance. And now I'm just gonna chop on through and create my sleeve fabrics here. Okay, so now I have 2 pretty even pieces for my sleeves, but I still have this left as well, which is fantastic. Maybe I'll make a bag out of that. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So for these ones now, I actually should have done it inside out, but I didn't. So there's a tip for you. Always make sure you're cutting things when the fabric is inside out with the right sides facing. Anyway, so I now have this inside out with the right sides facing, and I'm just going to stitch straight down to close up the open edges here and create my sleeves. Okay, so I have my sleeves all stitched together, and I did go ahead and chop it off at an angle here just so it fits nicer into the armhole. This would be the underarm seam, and here you can see on this piece here, I did a straight stitch, then a zigzag, and then I trimmed the edge with my pinking shears. And these are just wonderful things that have been around for, I'm pretty sure, you know, hundreds of years, and they work really, really well to trim off the edges to help prevent fraying, the same as the zigzag stitch. Alrighty, so I have my dress inside out, I have my sleeves right side out, and I'm just going to pop a sleeve into the armhole like so, and there we now have the right sides facing as always. And I'm going to line up the sleeve underarm seam with the center of what should be the underarm seam on the dress now, but now there's upsized panels in there, so there is no underarm seam, and shake it all down. And now I'm just gonna go stitch this together and then repeat the whole process on the other side, and then we're gonna see what it looks like. Are you ready for this? La la! Look at those adorable sleeves. 1 and 2, and I've given it a nice clean hem. If your clothes don't fit, that doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe. All it means is you have to look at your wardrobe differently, and that's what I am here to show you how to do. You just saw how simple it is to add side panels. That is the easiest way to upsize just about anything in your closet that you used to love wearing, but now you struggle to get into it. I have tons of upsizing tutorials. I will link that playlist down below for you. And if you want to go even deeper, be sure to pop on over to refashionistasheri.com to join my Refashionista revolution. And until next time, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because I put out new Refashionista videos every single week. And now, until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch ya on the zigzag. For just 99 cents a month, you can help save a struggling refashionista. For just 99 cents a month, you can help sustain the much-needed work that goes on behind the scenes. Every thrift flip, every DIY, every upcycle, every free tutorial can only continue with your support. Join my Refashionista crew for only 99 cents a month, less than the cost of 2 bananas or a pack of gum, and help me continue teaching anyone who wants to learn how to use what they have to make what they want. Don't let affordable, sustainable DIY style become an endangered species. Join my Refashionista crew today.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.